There is a sixth dimension beyond that which is known to man. A multiverse as vast as eternity, as timeless as the Infinity Gems. It is the middle ground between the big two and the indie publishers, between sci-fi and mysticism, and it lies between the pages of the reader's imagination. At the summit of entertainment, the dimension of comics, where a humble service is held. We call this service the Gospel of Comics. There is a sixth dimension.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Gospel of Comics. I am your host, the Church of Failure, and with me, as always, my trusty co-host, Ayrton McCartney. How you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing good. I'm tired.
Are you?
Because I didn't get home from work at the time that I planned. So this will be fun.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, make that money, baby.
All right, we're adding Mr. Deltrez to the call right now, and he should be joining momentarily and off to the races. Oh,
hello.
I think he's with us. Hello, sir. Mr. Gilbert
Hello,
Deltrez.
sir. How are you?
I've been better, but it costs more. Is my usual catchphrase.
Would it cost more?
It does. I'm going to start drinking the scotch, and I'll get gradually better and better as the night goes on.
Hey, scotch always helps.
So
Scotch always helps.
So we've got you for about a half hour, is what you say?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, I've got everything pulled up from the images that you posted from the pitch. Got the cover art. I've got the Indiegogo on here. I figure we'll ask you some questions, and then as you depart, we'll go through the material a little further. We'll definitely get the Indiegogo up though.
Yeah, for real, man. Appreciate it. Sorry it took late to communicate and everything. Just I didn't realize I had a get together going on, and
it happens, buddy. We're doing it live, as I say. That's the way we do our show. It's just chill. It's laid back. Awesome. I stress out about it, so nobody else has to.
Exactly. I don't stress out about anything here.
Well, I'll share in the stress. Okay, how about that?
No. You just keep making great comics. I don't have that particular talent, so you do that, and I'll do what I do, and everybody will be happy.
No doubt. I like that. I could roll with that. The Gospel of Comics. How long you guys been doing your show?
About 4 months now is what we're rolling up on. A little bit of steady organic growth, nothing major. Got a couple of shout outs from a few larger people, but we're just doing our thing over here and staying out of the drama mainly. That's what we want to offer, the haven for the people who just are so sick of hearing about it.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that as far as a small organic growth for me, trying to attract an audience. I kind of want to do it that way. And I'm also, I want to align with the dramaless, mantra, because I can't keep up with all that. It's hard to, I'm like, man, you lose it. It's like what you call like a soap opera. I was never good on those. Only when, what was it, the WWE, the Attitude Era? That's when I was in my full full-blown soap opera mode. I was on to every little bit. Now I can't keep up with nothing, man. Now it's just like full-blown, let's make comics mode and let's talk about it.
I think that's the best way to be. In fact, I was actually gonna congratulate you. Well, not congratulate you, but let you know that you inspired me to do the episode we're doing tomorrow. Actually,
okay, good.
I've been paying attention to this crowdfunding thing since it started. Since it got big, I would say last year before. Obviously it's been around for a lot longer than Comicsgate, but ever since Comicsgate exploded last year, and you did something unique that I saw. You put a campaign to promote the book before it was even launched. And like you generated interest and buzz, and I was anticipating the launch of your campaign.
And that theme song.
Oh God, yeah, we're gonna talk
like
about
that,
the
right?
theme song. Oh, we're gonna talk about
We'll
the theme
talk
song.
about that. Yeah.
We're gonna play the theme song as the exit so that anybody that's watching will have it stuck in their head like I have for the last 3-4 months.
It stuck for real. Stop it. It did.
Oh man,
It really stuck. Or are you just saying that?
Oh no, dude! I've got it in my head like 3-4 times a day. I'm just like Galactic Rodents,
Nice.
and it's catchy.
Oh my gosh, nice! I got like a tear coming out because I'm laughing really hard. Like that's cool. Like,
well, and that's
when it sticks on other people is good. Like you expect it to stick on. If it's your kind of like little thing going on, you want to you listen to it a lot, so it'll stick to you naturally. But other people like, hey, it's kind of stuck in my head.
Yeah,
it's like, okay, cool. Then maybe this is cool. Then
I've heard it like maybe twice or 3 times, like throughout, and I'm just like, it's still just that the main chorus jingle is just in the back of my head at most of the time, and I'm like, God damn! Because every time I think about the name of the book, I sing it in my head. You get what I'm saying?
That's cool. Credit that to Zalin Talis. He's at ZVT Music, and I hooked up with him on Lair, and just because I don't know how, and then I'm like, you know what? Let's do a little soundtrack thing for Lair. It didn't pick up like that, but we still offered it to the backers, and then now with this project, and since it was like 90s, 80s Saturday morning cartoon vibe, I'm like, we need a soundtrack. We need a soundtrack, like a theme song. So I had like written it in my head and I would sing it out. But when I gave it to him and what he put back, like what he brought, what he brought to the table left me floored because it was beyond what I would have expected. He knocked it out of the park. So, oh man, awesome.
Yeah, well, that's one thing. And like I said, for anybody coming in late or anybody coming in after the fact, we are going to play that as the outro. We may play it in the middle of the show too if we look at this video that you put up on the Indiegogo. But while I've got that up, I guess we can kind of scroll through that and just talk about it. First off, for the people who don't know, why don't you tell them what a capybara is? A capybara. How do you even say that?
I think capybara. I want to say capybara. Okay. I mean, I guess capybara could be right. I mean, I don't even know if I'm correct. To be honest with you, I'd be lying if I said I know about their existence. Although I would just be so lying. I mean, when I did, after I finished Lair, then I did Pistolera, which is like a Western. So I did like horror, then I did Western, and it's like they're kind of niche, genres. I'm like, I want to get back to doing something fun. And for me, the fun in comics that I remember was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, even Star Wars. So I wanted to capture that Saturday morning cartoon vibe. And I'm like, okay, so let's do fully anthropomorphic. I'm talking with Sebastian. I'm like, what animals are we gonna do? And he's like, let's do a capybara. And I'm like, a copy what now? And he's like, I'm like, what the hell? Like, what are you talking about? He's like, they're rodents. I'm like, are you serious? He's like, I wasn't feeling the rodents thing. I'm sorry. I didn't know about biker mice from Mars. I don't know. The rodents thing, it's like, I think, what was it, like G-Force or something like that on Disney had rodents wasn't calling me. But he's like, trust me. He's like, these animals, he's like, they're the biggest rodent in the world. So, okay, they're really big. Okay, gotcha. I like big. Bigger the better. Okay, I'm like, cool. He's like, but they're really chill animals. He's like, they get along with everybody. He's like, even crocodiles. I'm like, come on. I Googled it and I saw Google images. I saw literally every animal you can think of, literally just cozying up to these capybaras. And then I even saw one with a crocodile and a capybara just like side by side. I'm like, what respect? Like, wow. So that alone, it gave me that, it gave me that edge. It gave me that excitement to want to create. I'm like, okay, we got this. So he's like, let's do, Rodents of Mayhem, Rodents of Anarchy, Rodents of Chaos, and stuff like that. I'm like, listen, Rodents of Mayhem sounds good, but we're bringing this to space because that's where I wanted that whole Star Wars thing to bring it back to like the gritty nature that from what I remember seeing him on the VHS tapes. I'm like, Galactic Rodents of Mayhem, and he loved it. And then, dude, from there, I just, was so, fueled to write this story just because the capybaras made it happen. If it wasn't capybaras, this story would not exist. Seriously. So that's the magic of the capybaras. They're totally cool. They're the largest rodents. They breathe underwater. They can hold their breath up to 5 minutes. They swim like dolphins underwater. They're like the most coolest animal for me as a rodent, because rodents are usually like annoying, right? Like, you know, they just, what do they do? What's their contribution, right? It's like they're rats, or if they're rabbits, they're just like ruining your garden. You know, they're just like, they're not doing anything.
Yeah,
they taste good. I actually had rabbit before, so I could say that they do taste good. But the capybaras for me was a better contribution. I'm like, okay, this is what we're doing.
Right.
So that was how they came about, and that's what they are. People, they're just awesome.
Well, I heard you mention biker mice from Mars. We've talked off air about it, but everyone that watches this channel would be familiar with the adolescent radioactive black belt hamsters.
Yes, I saw a bit of that video with the creator, Mr. Chin, was it right?
Yes, sir.
And yeah, it was. Like I said, when you told me about it through Twitter, I was like, what?
Yep. And it was absolutely ridiculous, like pure 80s, just amazing humor,
schlock and cheese.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it seems like a brilliant take, on making I guess like a parody of it, but at the same time, maybe it could take itself seriously. I mean, it seems like it works on all levels.
It does. We like there are in the main arc. One of the hamsters dies, and it's actually like, even though the books are absolutely ridiculous, you feel that death. Like it actually hurts that happens. By the time you make it through those books,
it's weird.
even though it's just
tough.
Right, and that goes to a tribute to the artist and the writer of creating that moment where it's just like, okay, we've been absolutely ridiculous. We've blown up the Statue of Liberty. We've stopped a train or an airplane heist. We've gone up against
cockroaches.
Yeah. And now one of these characters is going to die, and you're going to be upset about it.
I mean, that's just, it shows you that, hey, as long as, it's goofy and all, but then, like, again, you get invested in the story, and then even, you like their antics or whatnot. And if, you miss one of the characters in a traumatic way, it might stick. So that's kudos to the team, for creating a story in there where when you lose even one hamster, it hurts. If it's a hamster, I don't know, maybe it's another character that, I mean.
Oh no, it was one of the hamsters. It went down, but
shoot, yeah.
Just looking at the go ahead. Just looking at the overview here, it does mention UTF, Lair, and Pistolera. What is UTF?
All right, so UTF is that was my first crowd-funded success over in Kickstarter. I want to say about 7 years ago. I was doing a web comic undertheflesh.com, and it's kind of like my take on the zombie genre. But it plays everything on what a zombie genre is, but when we get to like the reveal, it's like, okay, this was not a zombie thing at all. It's not related to zombies at all. But I play on the stereotypes because, again, I love horror. I love zombie stories. And that was the first, I did, I think I crowdfunded the first 3 issues. But then the artist on the project, he got busy doing work for Marvel Comics, which is pretty cool. And he got work because he sent some of his UTF work that we did together, which helped him. And then I'm like, you know what? We put it on the side because I want to kind of go back to it with him. So in the meantime, instead of just, twiddling my thumbs, then I did Lair, then I did Pistolera, my completed works, and then now I'm into Grom. And one day we hope to, one day very soon to continue, Under the Flesh.
I like it. And, I just learned about your previous works from this one, because like we were talking about before, you did so well marketing this book before you even launched the campaign. But in doing this, you've already kind of gone into the fact that this is more of the passion project, the thing that I don't know if you would say it was your wheelhouse, but this is what you would like to do.
You talking about Galactic Rodents of Mayhem?
Yeah. This is something. This that you wanted to do? Like, I'm sure you wanted to do your other projects as well, but this is something that is like, this is your wheelhouse almost, right?
No, this is going to show you that even though I love horror and it calls me, like I'm going to show you that I can definitely rock and roll with what I really want to have fun with, and it's like what I want to do with this is bring fun back, but the fun that I remember with comics, right. And I feel like we lost a lot of the. I mean, look at what you just brought up with the adolescent hamsters, right? Like it's fun, right? It's funny, but then it can get really weighty when you have just like the death of one character, right? Mm-hmm. So like with Galactic Rodents of Mayhem, I want to bring that back. I would love to make this a franchise where I already have it planned out where I would do 3 volumes and then like a prequel volume. So I got a lot going on. The art team, they're committed. They want to, commit to this and make it something special. So trust me, Lair, Pistolet, all that doesn't hold a candle to what I can do as far as comics when you really are amped about something and it's like true passion. This is radiating the passion that I want to put out in comics. So this is the top of the top as far as doing something special and doing what I want to do in my way.
Well, that's almost beat for beat something that I've said before with a couple of other creators. The guy that did Downcast, Clint from Sweetcast, Eric Weathers, and Von Klaus were all on a stream together, and they were courteous enough to invite me on. Nice. And all of them, just talked about their books at length, and it's something that you kind of can pick up. And I think that I've talked to Ayrton about this in regards to your book, because this is one of the first comic books that didn't sell me on the hype of the campaign. This is something that I was interested in, like I said, before you even launched it. The same thing with Monster MD, just not to an extreme. Like when I was pitched Monster MD, I was in before I even knew it was live. There was no hype around it, just the
Monster
pitch
MD,
of it.
I saw, yeah.
And that's the same way I was about this book.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I feel like. No, yeah. Could you hear me good? I don't know if maybe I'm cutting in.
Yeah, you're fine.
I'm using the phone.
The code on the show is, if we can't understand you, I'll agree with everything you just said and give you a minute to sort it out. My co-host calls in from a rotary telephone. Huh? So, yeah, my co-host calls in from a rotary telephone. So.
Okay. No, that works. No, with Monster MD, I saw like some teaser, I guess, images, and I knew it was going to be special. Just I didn't know much about the person, but I knew what they were in the product they were doing and how they were. It just, you knew like it was going to be special. And for Galactic Rodents of Mayhem, this is something where I think if this book were to hit like a mainstream circuit, I feel like it'd do really well. And the reason why I think that is because when I did my first ever Comic-Con appearance, it was at Tampa Bay Comic-Con. I don't have this book done, and I had a little poster. I mean, this is me being a noob. If I knew what I knew now, I'd have a larger poster, like a bigger poster. And even though I didn't have a book, I try to sell cover image, and so I know it would do well. No one's gonna give you the time of day, and what's sad is there the drama that we talk about, it still permeates, the behind the scenes of all this stuff. And the reason why I bring that up is because in trying to promote Galactic Rodents of Mayhem, I touched base with a couple of, I guess, news sites that cover comics. And then somewhere, I guess, they look you up and, oh, well, you're Comicsgate. I'm like, dude, I'm just trying to make comics, man. I'm like, you know what? Comicsgate was an ideology that I aligned with, and it's, not a gender or whatever. But the fact of the matter is I aligned with it because, I'm trying to put a book out. And if there's people that want stuff and they see like, okay, Comicsgate, I'm going to see what they're putting out. That's a way for them to get to know me.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So is that's going to be a black stain on me? Is that going to be something where you get like, it's like when they judge just the association or just that aside from the product or the person? So that's what I'm dealing with as far as just even promoting some stuff where if I just want to, just a genuine, like, hey guys, would you want to do, here's a press release. Would you want to put a little news info on this, or just put it out there? Because it looks good. I mean, it's worthy of just for people to look at it, because it relates to, what people like. It's hard to take a chance on a new book, because we all like, I don't know, am I going to like it? Like, you don't want to invest. But if okay, it's kind of has this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle vibe. It kind of has this Star Warsy vibe, Guardians of the Galaxy vibe. It's kind of something I'm used to, anthropomorphic animals. Like, you get introduced into something familiar. So you're like, okay, yeah, I could put some stock into this. So I feel like for that reason alone, it's worth, people just looking at it, and just judging for themselves. That's why I say, that's why, we have the theme song, we have the pitch, I put it there like, hey, this is what it is. I'm not trying to, I don't know. I know as a car salesman, you got to sell that car, but I'm just trying to just be organic as I can, because I just think it's cool and fun.
Well, yeah. Go
ahead, Aaron. Go ahead.
Church actually found your campaign, and he DM'd it to me on Twitter, and my immediate reaction was, hell yes. I cannot wait for this to go live, just from seeing the name and the poster.
Yeah.
So you definitely have that going for you. I was so excited for it. Unfortunately, I was backer number 7 because Indiegogo wouldn't load on my phone, so I did run over to my computer.
Thank you, dude. I'm gonna check you out. Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you. Hey,
but
I don't know. I think Church made backer number 1. He did it.
I did.
He did it. So
I threatened to stay up all night Sunday in case he got crafty and launched it at midnight.
No, I think I told you. I think I put like, hey, don't worry. Like, I don't want to do that to you. Like, hey, we'll do it the next day in an afternoon or something.
No. I saw the tweet beforehand where you put out that you were doing it at noon or 1, and I was like, all right, I'll trust him.
Yeah.
But no, Thor Odinson does that. He races to try and be the first backer on a book, and I saw this one, and this one is something that I wanted to pull a Thor Odinson on. But
if it works, it works. If this thing picks up steam, I'll consider for volume 2 to just slip a midnight launch on there.
There you go. There you go.
Give us like a heads up.
Yeah.
Oh no, for sure. There'll be a little teasing of the campaign for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. But no, like I said, I don't see any reason why it wouldn't. You may have slowed down from the first 2 days, but the first 2 days you did tremendous. I think 4 or 5 days into the campaign, you're already at 17%. I don't think you're going to have any problem getting this shown, and I'm sure if it gets picked up by one of the larger channels, that it'll definitely be in there. One thing you might consider doing is promoting it through a super chat or two, or around the community.
That's what I have to do. I have to. I know EVS he has a super chats. I don't know how often he does his streams. I just like, if I see him live, I'll probably have to jump on, do that. I'm trying to think who else has like I know Malin, right? John Malin. I was on his show.
Malin will do it.
Yeah.
Nick Rekieta is actually.
Who are some of the more prominent ones?
I would say Nick Rekieta. Of all people, he's the lawyer covering the Kick Vic thing, and he's also been covering the Richard Meyer and Mark Wade lawsuit. So occasionally people will promote their GoFundMe's on there, and he gets up to 5,000-8,000 people watching during his show.
No, that's big time. Okay, I have to do that strategy. It's just I have to. That's something that it's not like it's no debate. Like, you have to hit these type of channels, because if you have 8,000 viewers watching a live stream, and you can get a super chat in there that that's going to be read out, it's going to help. So I just the thing is, I have to follow them. I have to know who to follow. Okay, EVS is one that I know, and Nick Rekieta. I don't know if I'm following him, so I got.
He's the guy that mediated the Ethan Van Sciver Doug Naples stream last week, I believe it was week before.
Does Doug do super chats? No, right?
No comment. I mean, he does. But
I don't know.
He does. Well, he did the last show that I watched, but he doesn't really keep up with them very much. I don't think he encourages them. on his channel?
No, I want someone that's gonna at least I like EVS because he'll at least take the time and even though he'll go on for a bit, he'll stop and he'll go to the super chats and he'll go off one by one and you're gonna be heard. As he can, I don't know if he still continues that. If he does, then I like those.
He does as of the last time I saw him. So he definitely keeps up with that. But no, man, I really just wanted to get you on to talk about the book. I really like the idea of it. Now there's a fourth character that's not really highlighted in this in this little teaser you've got here that you have teased out on Twitter, and I believe it is the Gecko mentor, right?
Oh yeah. He's another one of my favorite characters. Yeah, he just shows up in the theme song, but he's my master splinter without karate. The best way to think about him, I guess, would be like to picture like a Han Solo who's like not afraid to show like his feelings. I guess like Han Solo, he's just cool. He don't want to he don't want to show you that hey he cares. He just But he's like more older, so he'd be like I guess you could say a more mature Han Solo type father figure who's not afraid to show his feelings and bear it all. So that's my Gecko right there. So he'll be cool. He's gonna be cool. Trust me when I tell you, he's gonna be cool.
All right,
very cool. Yeah.
Well, I did notice the correlation. You had the main team is rodents and the mentor is an amphibian. So I see what you did there.
Listen, if you like this kind of thing, I'm just gonna tell you, there's gonna be a plethora of these type of little references that go to video game culture, that go to Star Wars culture. That go to all the Ninja Turtle street sharks. We got an anthropomorphic shark in there, not a street shark. He's a shark. Let's just RoboCop, right? If he was a shark, right, we could just go there. We got some stuff for you guys. We got vipers, sniper vipers, I call them. They're like
that's brilliant.
I kind of see them as like the Bob. Huh?
I said that's brilliant.
Yeah, I kind of like they're bad, but I kind of have them like. Well, my idea is to make them kind of like Boba Fett in a way, like they're just cool, and like they're attached to the main bad guy, but they also toot their own horns. So sniper vipers, there's a lot of stuff we got in here, and there's one little teaser scene that I'll just mention Star Wars, and if you guys know Star Wars, the Han Solo, his first introduction in A New Hope.
Yeah.
And the whole Greedo shot first thing.
Yep.
Yeah, so if it annoyed you the way it annoyed me, I got a little reference there going on. There's something for everyone. Yeah, I put it there I put it organically, so it works. I make sure everything works.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have any doubts about that. So far, like I said, you're working with a home run here. We just got to get it knocked out of the park is all.
Yeah, I just got to try to find at least some more ways to promote it. Because it's rough. I'm the only one that's kind of doing a lot of the promotion with the team. Like it's just me and the team. But it's tiring because you have Twitter, and Twitter, it's like you can do a tweet and someone misses it. So it's like you kind of got to be tweeting all the time. But then there's like Facebook is for me, it's just so dead. But I know there's like certain groups that I guess there's activity, but again, even some of these groups, even though they say it's like, hey, indie comics, it's literally just a spam board, and people just post promoting their random books, and it's hard to get any genuine interaction. And it's some of the ones where you get really great interaction. It's more like big two kind of comics. It's like if you kind of want to talk about your stuff, it's like that it's kind of almost looked down upon. Reddit is another thing I'm trying to do, but then again, Reddit's another one where it's you gotta navigate it carefully because you put something out and then it's just deleted for spam posts. I'm like, look at this cover. How do you delete this, man? How do you just like if you see that and you just like generically, not even or just trying to say, hey, what do you think of this? And like, it's like self-promotion. It's like, I'm not putting my link in there. I'm not saying buy this book right now. I'm just saying, hey, what do you guys think? You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, that cover is incredible. I love it. Like, everything about it is fantastic.
Every bit of art that I've seen for this has been amazing. Any piece of teased interior art that you put out on this reminds me of those old school 90s, just 80s and 90s rough shot comics.
That's the whole vibe we're trying to go with. And this cover, interestingly enough, we have another cover on the pitch, and that's kind of like that was going to be our original cover. And it was kind of like more. It has like a retro look, and that was going to be it. But then we had a colorist on our group who did that original cover, but then he couldn't commit to the project for health reasons. And but we had another colorist who was referenced in by my letterer, Davison. And
right.
I was telling Sebastian, I'm like, listen, we need to do another cover. Like, I know the cover we have is good, but I'm like, we need just something more like. And I told him this. I'm like, we need something more like Ninja Turtles. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, we need to focus real heavily on the guys, right, on our capybaras. And I'm like, I want to have a kind of a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle reference, but at the same time, I want to show where it's like kind of like Star Wars. So that's why if you look at the cover, I don't know if you noticed behind the logo, you see like a manhole cover.
Yeah,
like covered. Yeah, so that was kind of like, and I explained that, like, I want to have that, and I want to have like they're there. And I want the backdrop to be futuristic city, and you see like the flagship getting chased around, like a dogfight in the air. Yeah. And so you see it captures like it just, but he stepped it up even further, because just look at this, like he changed their make, like he put them in like this special black ops, type of tire. Like oh my gosh, it looks
I
nice.
love the energy sword.
Yeah.
Oh man, I call that. That is awesome.
Well, that's where I want to tie like some of video game culture and some of like the Star Wars-ish type thing. Like I get lightsabers. You're not gonna do a lightsaber, but I have this thing in my mind called digi blades, like digital blades or something like that. But kind of like, I don't know if you ever played Mass Effect. So what was it called? I think it was the Omni Blade. Like I kind of wanted something like that, but they all take different type of shapes and colors and all that. I'm just tapping into it and making it a little different. But again, so he drew it, but the colorist really knocked it out of the park, because it's impactful. So this one never came about unless we had that other team coming, and like I'm just glad it did, because sometimes you got to ask a lot and push your guys, and they come back and they hit you hard, and all it is just impactful and a home run. You just knock it hard. So I'm glad you guys liked it.
Yeah, everything from the color work to the cross hatching done in the inking. I mean, and you just mapped out how you basically curated the entire piece in your request and whatnot. But just everything about just this cover alone just is what comic books should be. I don't see a T-shirt on here that says "Ask about my feminist agenda." There's no pointed reference to either side of politics. There's a female, there's a couple of males, there's no, misrepresentation, because there's no, racial tension in the book. It works. There's no way this could be construed as divisive, and the fact that people do is sad, and it's bad for comic books.
Yeah, that kind of mindset, I feel like it's what's ruining comics. Like I get inclusion, I get, I want to feel represented. I'm not against that. And what I could say in Galactic Rodents of Mayhem, even though we have male and female species, if there is interspecial relations, if there's like male on male relations, could it exist in this world? Yeah, sure, it could, I guess. I can't confirm or deny that. Is that going to be my focal point of this book going forward? Yeah. Hell no. Like I'm just, that will, like if I just give someone that has that mindset, right? Hey, I'll give you permission to write an angle on my book. They can make it into that, and it'll turn everybody off. So, that's never going to happen, because the way I have my mind, the way I have this thing envisioned, it's to the story first and foremost. And even people who identify a certain way, no matter what, even if a character is not, let's say, the same sexual orientation or whatever, or just, sexuality, whatever, the character, as far as their traits being who they are, generous, or, caring, or, whatever they are, fierce, you can relate to that. you don't always have to relate to my sexuality part. You know, you could relate to just general character traits. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't have to be about that. And that's the problem where I feel like why we're making it about that. And if you do want to make it about that, create new characters, right? And do it in a way where you're not messing with iconic characters that we know and love. Like, I get, you know, Spider-Man, right? There was a talk about Tom Holland and, like, you know, his sexuality. Like, don't mess with that, man. Spider-Man's done a certain way. He's always been that way. And if you saw the latest movie, the Enter the Spider-Verse, right? Like, they showed, like, the future Peter Parker, right? Where he was divorced from Mary Jane. And, like, him just wanting to get back with her is a whole new story angle now. It's like, hey, you know what? I get there's a high divorce rate in real world. Well, guess what? Even our main character, Spider-Man, is going through a divorce, but guess what? He's going to do what he has to do to get the woman he loves back. That means something, man.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So there's so much you can do with that.
Yeah, that's what defines you as a hero. You might fall down, but you get back up. That was the whole point of that movie.
Mm-hmm.
My kids love that movie, by the way.
No, it's amazing. No, so if you want to make a character that's, you know, gay, that's fine. Create something fresh from the ground up, and don't promote it as, yes, we got our first new official gay Marvel superhero that's unique and original and not borrowed from the MCU. Is just someone new. Don't do it that way. Just create your new hero, and maybe we see a struggle. Maybe we can relate with him, and then we see, like, the conflict he's going through, and then maybe, like, at the end or something, he does something heroic. But then that's when he comes out the closet publicly or something like that. And you're just like, wow, you know. So you related with this guy all the way, but then you did that flip where he's a gay character. Is that gonna make you hate him now? No, because you're not throwing the agenda. You're just focusing on the story. You know what I mean? There's a fine way to tune it. You know, so it's a way to do it.
And that's the problem. It's everyone focusing not on, like, character traits, but just, like, physical attributes and, like, you're born more or less, right? Like saying, like, there's not enough superheroes with hazel eyes. You know, that's what it sounds like to me. Like, there's not enough gay or trans characters. Like, okay, there's not enough characters with hazel eyes. Let's make this a thing now. Like,
well, no, that's the answer. Well, make them. I mean, if you think there need to be enough characters, don't take something that's existed for 80 years. Put that in the closet. Put that in the closet. Put it away. We'll pull it back out later. Let's see what you can do with something new.
There you go. Yeah. And I'm up for the challenge. If Marvel, you know, wants to hire me to create a whole new character and make him gay as a straight Christian male, I could make a really convincing gay character, have struggles, everything, make you like him. And, you know, just create awareness that, like, in a way that's not agenda smashing, and that, you know what I'm saying, is this it's turn off in comics. It just is.
Well, if you're listening, Marvel Comics, you heard the man. Get him a job. After he finishes Galactic Rodents of Mayhem,
right there.
After he finishes Galactic Rodents of Mayhem.
No, for sure. That's top, man. That's top. Yeah, I had fun with this. I did a pitch on was it on Twitter? It was on Twitter. I tagged Image Comics. I don't know the state of Image Comics currently. I haven't been reading a lot of their books as of late, but I was reading a lot of their stuff. Was it like about even up to like a couple months ago, and I don't know their state, but I tweeted and I'm like, Saturday morning Image pitch, what do you guys think of this book or whatever? And I tagged it and I put it out there. And I know Twitter is probably like not a good idea to maybe just openly do something like that. I'm at the point where I don't care. I just need publicity, right? I need someone to see it, man.
If you're not having fun, then what's the point?
Yeah. Yeah, true. So that's the way I'm trying to do it. I feel like it's cool and just, get it out there. But I don't know if I come across as too confident in something. And I don't know if that bothers people as maybe a writer or maybe someone who creates stuff. But I mean, when you know what you're doing, when you see the script you already have completed, when you have the team and you know what they're capable of, you could be a little confident. So I don't know if maybe just doing that is a bad idea either.
All you've got to do is anybody that accuses you of being confident, just look them square in the face and explain to them that I just have a hard time operating under the assumption that I'm fucking up. Excuse my French on that one.
That's
but,
a good one.
Yeah, but just, I just have a hard time assuming that I'm not doing this correctly.
Yeah.
If I go at it like I'm already failing, then what's the point?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, one little cool thing I could say is with Lair that I was able to do and Pistolera that I was able to do, I got some cool feedback from people that I didn't tell them to say a positive review over my stuff. So I just thought that was cool. Like someone's like, hey, I thought Pistolera was really cool. Like I like the Obi-Wan Kenobi angle you had with the older brother. I like how you incorporated like the Bible scripture into like the main character's revenge path. And he's like, and I liked how you humanized, such a really bad, villain, like how you kind of humanized him, even though he's really bad. Like and that's in a 30-page one shot that I did. If someone that I don't know who they are leaving me this kind of feedback, I think that's cool. And the same with Lair, like someone said, like, hey, this is pretty cool. And that's what I'm trying to do. Just create cool stories, make it a little fresh, because I know it's hard to do something fresh. It's just really hard. I get it. Even for a Western, how do you make that fresh? And I just made a pregnant gunslinger as a main character, right? So you always got to do something that's bold, fresh, whatever, but still stay true to your craft and your stories and respecting the readers. And not by blasting agenda stuff, right? When I promoted Pistoleta, it was hard to be like, hey, I got a female pregnant Mexican as a hero. Come on, people. Let's get something for the freaking Mexicans. Like, I'm not doing that. It's just like, I'm just trying to be like, hey, if you like Westerns, trust me, you're going to like this. Even if it's hard for you to see,
That's the one you send to those news websites. That's the one you send there.
You know what? I didn't even do that. And you know what? That's where I messed up at. You see where I messed up at? I didn't do that. That was a perfect one to do. I didn't even do that. Oh my gosh. But yeah, so that's the thing. You're just trying to be positive, and when people are liking your stuff, it's a cool sign, and that's what I want to do. Just try to keep true to my stories and give a little something fun for the comic book fans and show that I'm in here to create comics and I don't want to go anywhere. I don't know. Some people want to do these kind of things and I'm one of them that just wants to create.
Oh, we got your back, man. We're going to be here with you every step of the way, making sure this thing gets back, because this is definitely going to be something that we read and review on the show.
Nice. I definitely want to get to that point. Yeah. See what you guys think after the finished product. Yeah,
absolutely.
You have no idea how excited I am for
this. Let's see, man. Let's see. You never know, right? You never know.
So you've graciously been with us for 45 minutes of your initial half hour. I don't want to hold you too long. If you got to jump out, I will graciously let you do so, and I definitely appreciate the time.
Wow, it's been 45 minutes?
Oh, yeah, man. Time flies when you're having a good time.
Oh. I mean, it's when you're married, the wife is like, I'm okay, hey, hun, we'll do 30 minutes. I told the guys I got to get this out. I got to honor my word. I'm like, well, I'll do 30 minutes. I know we had a long day. I get it, But, 45 minminutes. Cool. Yeah.
Mrs. Church graciously lets me, and there's graciously again. That's the whiskey. But she graciously lets me do this 4 nights a week and doesn't stab me in my sleep. So we have 3 children, and she wrestles them while I do this show. So she's a real MVP here. Everybody pay respects to Mrs. Church in the chat.
And let me tell you, man, you got 3 kids. I'm only wrestling with 1 right now.
Get on my level, son.
Oh man. Well, I could hang just for a little bit. She hasn't given me the evil eye, or she hasn't ranged on the door,
right, well,
something like that. So if there's anything else you wanted to talk, or just I'm here.
We had 2 hours of show to go through, so you're good. However long you want to stay, you're more than welcome. I just wanted to artfully give you that exit if you needed it. Ayrton, you've been really quiet. What have you got? What have you got for our guest host tonight?
He kind of went and answered the big majority of the questions I already had planned just by talking. I mean, really, I want to say one of the biggest things that stood out when you were talking about writing in the industry and stories and stuff. The one word that you really said that really stuck out to me was it's about the readers, and I think that's the biggest thing that you and these other creators like yourselves really have going for you in the industry now, is that understanding that it's about people like me in church who want to read the stories, right? Like, and sitting here talking to you and listening to you talk about it, it's making me more excited to read it, and knowing that this is going to be a good, fun story. And I'm really hoping we can get you out there more and get this thing backed fully and quickly.
Yeah, no, we want to take it well beyond the backing point. I mean, we want you to be swimming in money when you ship this book.
Well, that would only be what. Okay, let's put it how you said it. It's about the readers, right? And as a writer, I'm trying to develop, right? And with each thing I'm putting out, I feel like I'm getting a little bit stronger, right? So I think a reader could appreciate a writer that is growing in his craft and also respects her, because man, readers are smart. They are smart, and the comic book audience, the readers, they're at the top they're at the highest order, the highest level. They're intelligent, man. You just got to do right by them.
On that, real quick to interject, just as a side point, I like to do these interjections. One thing I've noticed about comic books, I don't know if you read the newspaper at all, but
occasionally,
if you read the newspaper or even a news website for your local county or whatever, you'll notice that the reading level that they write news articles at is like a 4th or a 5th grade reading level. I am 32 years old. I am 32 years old, and I occasionally, reading comic books from 1970, 1980, have to pull out a thesaurus and a dictionary to figure out what a word means.
Yes, sir. Oh, yes, sir. Let me tell you, I what was it? The Dark Phoenix saga, right? That came out recently. I had remember reading it when I was reading the floppies, as a teen. But again, when you're that young, 12, 11, you appreciate it, but there's a lot of stuff that flies by your head. And I recently bought like a hardcover compilation, and I read through it. And holy cow, they were on another level.
The Dark Knight Returns was the same way.
You ain't kidding, man. They step it up big time. Their writing acumen is just through the roof. They use these words where you got to definitely bring out a thesaurus to have handy or dictionary. But at the same time, it all flowed, and it was well done. It was like you were really in another place. Like you really were on that adventure, or you really were with the X-Men through this whole thing, or with Spider-Man. Like the thought bubbles, there were so many thought bubbles. I think, I don't know, currently in comics, I don't know if we kind of like don't use them. We'll have narration captions, but the thought bubbles back then too were like overloaded, which is good because you know what they're thinking. But yeah, those comics were on another level.
We got big Wolverine fans and all those old Wolverine comics. Like half of it is just his thoughts of everything that's happening while the adventures. There's not that much.
Well, as a solitary
really
character,
you like understand him as a character.
Yeah, as Wolverine is a solitary character, you've kind of got to have a way to make him interesting while he's traversing through the western wilderlands of Canada or whatever.
Or the jungles of Madripoor.
I feel like trying to. I mean, I know. I guess there's an artist that I'm working on a project with. It's this top secret thing that we're trying to do. But he brought up a great point. He's like, comic books now, they're competing with video games. They're competing with movies. Like that's what he said as far as entertainment. So sometimes, not that you can't go heavy with the text, but as far as the subject matter, you got to have stuff that's really kind of out there, I guess, unless you're kind of gearing something towards a specific audience. But still, it's like video games. I grew up on video games, and I don't know subconsciously on how I digest the medium and I write comics. Somehow I incorporate some of that. I don't know how, but I had someone that read my stuff as like, hey, dude, like just reading the intro, like it's almost felt like a video game. Like, okay. And I heard that a few times from other people, so I'm like subconsciously doing that. But we're in competition with video games because you already see, the special effects, the graphics. It's incredible. I don't know if you guys are gamers, but there's this, if you just Google this trailer called Death Stranding, just Google that trailer if you ever on the commode and, just like, oh, Death Stranding, that trailer, here's a couple 4 or 5 minutes I could literally waste on this thing. The imagery they use and just what's going on, it's just like shock value. So one cool thing that comics have, a picture's worth 1,000 words. You got panels, a multitude of panels across comic books. So, there's a lot you can do to capture someone's attention, right? So with that being said, you're competing with video games, you're competing with movies, but there's a way now to create comics and interconnect them in a way to bring attention to comics. And I know there's like the comic business is going, it's not doing the same sales and stuff, but there's hardcore comic book readers that aren't going anywhere that are going to still continue to support. We just got to find a way to get the new generation into reading and appreciate comics, which is it's a whole other thing.
Yeah, it is, and I think that's, I think that's more on not necessarily the parents, but I do think that there are plenty of good reasons to introduce younger kids to comic books because, like I said, it increases your vocabulary because comic books don't dumb themselves down for anybody. You have to learn new words to understand a comic book. Yeah. And I think that we really need to stop assuming that the readership is just going to continue to replenish itself because the last 20 years have told us that it's not. Like you said, you're competing with video games. You're competing with card games. Let's just take a second to think about the average comic shop. I make this point at least once a month, so I guess it's time to fill that quota. But I used to work in a comic shop full time, and the number one thing that I did in that comic shop is push comics because that's what I knew. But I can't count on any form of measurement how many kids under the age of 16 walked into that store with $5 to $10 to spend, and I couldn't sell them a comic book because for the same $5 to $10 they could gamble their money away on trading cards. In that same space because it's not profitable to sell comic books anymore because of diamond distribution. And I don't know if you keep up with Peter Samedi. Yeah, I don't know if you keep up with Peter Samedi from Alterna Comics, but he just announced
for a weekly Alterna show.
Yeah, he wanted to do something new. I think I saw a tweet of him. He said, maybe I'll create my own distribution model. I mean, sometimes you got to be drastic and think out of the box, and because it's oh my god, it's almost, I want to say like a mafia. I think because I had a buddy that did his own book and he tried to get it through Diamond, but just how it went, man, it's really hard even for indie people just to get it through, without spending lots of money. And then you're in the book. You're all the way in the back.
The previews catalog,
the previews. Oh man, it's so much what? I don't know. It's, again, there's so much that needs to be done right. And I think that's why a lot of people are looking towards crowdfunding because they're I'll get a cool book. Granted, it'll take some time to get it, but I'm part of the process. I'm part of something being created, interact with the creator. But then there's some nightmares on there as well. How many people get so much money and never do anything. There's a bunch of stories like that. I mean, I have, even on my Kickstarter projects that I backed, one project that I remember was called The Projectionist. And dude, for me, I just thought it was a cool idea. And the dude on the project, he's like, oh, dude, it's been 5 years, even 6, maybe 7. And up until now, I never received the book or anything. But he was update. Oh, I'm in talks to do a TV deal. I'm in talks to do this. I'm in talks to do that. And I would look at the comments. Someone's like, I don't care. When am I getting my book? It's to the point where it gets like that. I get being transparent, but when the updates aren't that frequent, And when it's like almost once a year, you're like, oh, almost a comic deal. I mean, or a book deal. I mean, not a book deal, like a movie, TV deal. And it's like every other year or every year. And then it gets to the point where someone's like, who cares? Now we just want the book because they already know it's almost like a dog and pony show.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's a good and bad to the crowdfunding sphere, but I feel like ultimately, even though comics will never go away, and I feel like the way the image revolution happened, history repeats himself. I'm thinking like that could be something with crowdfunding. So people could just go on and just there's a crap ton of stuff. You'll find a book on anything almost. So it's just a matter of waiting until it gets done, but still, it's showing signs of hope, I'd like to say.
Yeah. Well, and go ahead, Aaron.
Oh, so when this first volume is as successful as we know that it's going to be, are you thinking you're going to crowdfund like a Saturday morning, like 90s style cartoon, like internet show based around these? Because that would be awesome. You already do have the intro song.
Well, so here's the thing. Let's just say, let's just play hypothetical. Let's say if I crowdfund a little, okay, okay, good. But I do have some cool stretch goals in mind. One of them would be to do like a one shot, totally black and white. Okay. And of course, we're hypothetical, right? The idea would be to do my characters, right, with another notable anthropomorphic character. And the only one I can think of that I would love to do would be Earthworm Jim. Because he's kind of trending right now. And I just think just to have my capybaras trying to capture this Earthworm Jim who had this bounty wrongly put on his head for whatever reason, how the universe has collided, right? And they're trying to get him, they can't get him, whatever. But I have that whole idea in mind. Would that happen? I don't know. You got to cut. There's so much to it. Now, as far as to do this in an animated show, again, this is stuff that I love to do, but again, everything is a budget, right?
Right.
Let's just say if it gets to, I don't know, which I doubt highly, just because I don't have that cachet yet. But let's just say if it ever got to like a 500K mark, or in the whole lifespan of just whatever doing these books, you have weight. You'd be like, okay, maybe now I could look for an animation company that's trying to come up, and do something, and maybe you could do like 5-minute episodes, because to do a half-hour episode would be crazy hard, right?
Well, yeah.
Well, you live
and all that, so
you live in the webisode era. Like, you could easily get away with doing a 5 to 10 minute webisode and putting it on like a YouTube.
Yeah, so that's what I would do. Would have a channel if I'd iron out the numbers and I had who would look up for animation teams. I would even look up Japanese anime teams, only because I know, as sad as it sounds, I know they work super hard, but they crank out stuff really fast. So again, it'd have to be like me pitching something to an animation company out there that maybe if they see the capybaras and they see that as space, and maybe they could see the anime connection, and maybe, not that I want the art style to be like anime, but again, just to crank out something that could be a 5-minute show and hire someone to write it. Because then again, there's a lot going on. But dude, my dream would be to see this, as a show, and even a bigger dream would be somehow to see them share an episode or even a comic with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That would just be my absolute diehard dream. Just because, I grew up with that. And a lot of my inspiration is Kevin Eastman. Also because his Mirage run with the Ninja Turtles was so gritty. It was really out there. My gosh. When you're a kid, you don't realize this. You watch a cartoon, but I read some of the black and white comics. I never knew Shredder was literally killed in the first issue. I don't remember
First issue, dead as a doornail.
Yeah. Yeah, I never remember, dude. I don't remember that. Then I was, when I read it back again, I'm like, holy cow! Baxter Stockman was like this terrorist with the Mousers that he was trying to, destroy these building structures. He would have them, eat out the foundation. They'd crumble if he wouldn't get his $1 million. Or I'm like, this is like, mastermind Dr. Evil type stuff. Like, this was really good. So that energy, kind of is what I want to recapture. And then his story, he literally is like what I'm trying to do, but his was more crazy because they didn't have crowdfunding back then. He literally, him and Peter did the book and went to a convention and they just sold out of copies. And back then, I guess conventions, you probably had more people doing their books, or I don't know. But when I was at Tampa Con, I met some dude there who was pretty cool. He was like, "Hey, man," he's like, "You're like the only dude selling your own book out here." He's like, "Now people sell stickers, they sell buttons, they sell art prints, or the coffee mugs." He's like, video game stuff." He's like, "You're actually peddling out your own books." He's like, "That's pretty cool." So. Yeah. That whole underdog story and trying to do like something fresh. So there's a lot going on with Galactic Rodents of Mayhem. I would love to spend my time fully on this. I hope it could get to that point and, get to where we can, everything's content, right? Maybe it could be a Netflix original. Maybe you get like a Hulu original, a sci-fi original. Like there's we can do something with this. So if it gets to that point, or maybe you seeing the TV show with that same exact soundtrack wouldn't be too far-fetched. And that's what I want, that same soundtrack. When I talk with Zalin, I'm like, dude, this thing, I want it to be so good. And I'm like, because I'm thinking about a Netflix show. Like, your soundtrack is going to be stuck there. Like, I don't want to change anyone. Like, I want what you have. I don't care if they got a better team. They can mimic it the same way. No. It's going to be the same one. I mean, of course, that's what I hope.
We're not going to let you do what... We're not going to let you do what was done to Preacher.
Who's done the Preacher?
Oh, you don't. Did you read Garth Ennis's Preacher?
Oh, Preacher. Oh, yes. The first book I read. Then it got too whoa for me.
Okay,
but yes.
So did you see the TV show that they put out of it?
Oh, you know what? I haven't got up to date. Is it good? Please tell me it's.
No, just don't. Just don't.
No, really? Thank you for telling me that warning. I didn't want to get too excited because I'm going to be honest. I read the first, the trade paperback. It's like the first volume. Really dark, really crazy, really out there. And then I know they're doing the show with Seth Rogen. Somehow got attached to it. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what's going on here. But some there wasn't like jump on it and watch it because I felt like it wouldn't be true to the darkness or whatever. But you're telling me no, steer clear. So, well, thank you for saving my time, I guess. But it's sad that it couldn't be what it could have been.
On the flip side, The Boys by Garth Ennis. If you haven't seen that show, watch it.
Don't watch it. Watch it.
Watch The Boys.
Watch it. Yeah. Okay, that's the one on Amazon, right? Yeah. Amazon Prime. Yeah. Should I catch up on the graphic novel?
You should at least read the first volume or two.
Okay, so I'll do that because I didn't know nothing about The Boys, but my cousin also told me, he's like, you got to watch it. It's just different. It's just this. He's like, I'm like, okay, cool.
We covered the first volume.
Me, but yeah.
We covered the first volume and a half. I'll DM you a link to that show, where we kind of looked at the first couple of beats, and that'll kind of get you up to date with what the premise is. And I feel like they kept the premise. Cool. They kept the premise whole in The Boys. They changed up some story beats and they changed up some ideas just to kind of make it more, I don't know, not suitable for TV, but more conducive to TV. Because nothing in the show is suitable for TV. That would never be on network television.
As extreme as it sounds, I kind of like when you can go there, just because it shows good content. So that's the good thing about the streaming services. There's always going to be people wanting content. So as long as you're putting out cool stuff like that, it's a win.
Oh, absolutely. But no, you mentioned something about having not kept up with Image for the last few years. One thing that I would say that you should probably look into, and this is my own fanboyism coming out, but I'm not sure if you're familiar with anything of Jonathan Hickman's ilk.
I have his first volume of East to West.
East of West, yes, that's what I was going to say. Yes, read East of West. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I had the first volume. I didn't get to reading it, but I just was drawn by the setting, and I flipped through some of the artwork. I'm like, okay, this, and then it's like the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I'm like, okay, I put that aside, and so I do have the first volume. It's in my shelf.
I'll pull that down when you want to read something good next time.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff I'm reading now besides Lobo's another one. I don't know if you guys ever read Lobo,
Oh yeah,
the original.
yeah. I'm a little bit
That
of
was a
a
little,
historian.
yeah.
Lobo, the original Lobo, was basically supposed to be a copy of Wolverine that they just badly pulled off in his purple jumpsuit and his bad space bike.
Mm-hmm. Well,
His
I don't know
Jerry
which
curl
one I
afro.
got, but yeah, you could see that's what happens, right? You have like Deadpool, Deathstroke, right? You have like
Mhm.
Catwoman, Black Cat, right? Wolverine, Lobo, right? Like it happens all the time, right?
Well, how about Marvel knocks off DC and copies Deathstroke into Deadpool. Then DC knocks
Right.
off Marvel by creating Red Tool.
Who the hell is Red Tool based on?
Deadpool.
Oh, Red Pool. They made Red Pool?
No, they
They
made
knocked off
Red
and knocked
Tool.
off.
Yeah, they made Red Tool like Hammer.
Red Tool? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he's Harley
See, I'm
Quinn's
missing
love
all this
interest for like
stuff.
4 issues.
I'm sorry, I gotta Google this real quick.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll pull it up on screen for the viewers at home. But Red Tool is definitely a DC property.
No, I don't know why I like it.
It's fantastic, isn't it?
Holy cow.
Yeah.
And he wants Harley Quinn? This is like genius.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Is this like he has like his own volume already? Like his own story? I could like
No, he was only in
is there
Harley
anyone
Quinn,
to
I
just jump
believe.
in? Or just one issue?
It's a series with him. I can DM you the issues or whatever, but yeah, it was like a 3 to 6
man.
issue
Let's
series.
see if I can pick this up. I love this stuff.
I bought it for my wife because she's a really big Harley Quinn and Deadpool fan.
Yeah.
So, no, don't put the photo bucket tag on it. That's not what I want. Google imaging.
Man, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
But
I gotta step up my game as far as catching up on all these little stuff. Like I said, just because of the SJW trash going on, like it pushed me away. It pushed me out big time. So like the image stuff the last stuff I was reading, I think the last image book I picked up was something called Ice Cream Man. And it was like a horror type stories, which was kind of cool. So
I think we looked at that on the show at some point.
Okay. Yeah, so like there's some cool stuff out there. The last DC thing I read was Batman White Knight by Sean Murphy. I don't know if you guys heard of that one, but that one was pretty good.
I looked at it, but I was buying Dark Knight medals at the time. So
did you know the premise? You know the premise?
Oh, for White Knight, yeah.
It's cool.
The Joker,
I mean, if you get
Joker claims or gets sane just so they can get Batman thrown in jail.
Yeah, and it's real political, but it's done well. And Sean Murphy is really well. And interesting with Sean Murphy, there was a tweet. Literally, someone asked him if he could do any cartoon story, what would he do? He said something Pirates of Dark Water. I don't know if you guys seen that one. But then he said Biker Mice of Mars.
Oh, yeah.
And, dude, I would love to see Biker. Like, it slipped my radar, and it still looks cool. They had like a Super Nintendo video game somebody showed me when I was doing my research on Galactic Rodents of Mayhem. I'm like, dude, I never even heard of Biker Mice. But to see that kind of story with Sean Murphy's lines would just be crazy. But what was even more cool is someone replied to the thread and like, hey, only because you said this, I think you might enjoy Gilbert Deltrez's last work. And he put the picture of Galactic Rodents of Mayhem. And I'm like, wow, thank you. I told that was cool, but at the same time, come on, I don't want Sean Murphy to see that because then he's gonna do Biker Mice of Mars and no one's gonna even know who the heck Galactic Rodents of Mayhem. That's it. We'll be in that shadow forever, dude. It's just. Again, he's doing Batman White Knight Volume 2, and then I think he'll crowdfund something else. But, he didn't respond because, of course, he has over, 80,000 followers or whatnot. But just the fact that someone tagged me and on that with the picture of my stuff, it's just like, that was cool. Like I wasn't even doing that, like I don't know. That was nice.
Isn't he moving to a crowdfunding platform for his next couple of books?
That's what he said, and he's a rock star, and he's a legend, and he's gonna do. He's gonna be fine. He will be fine. I will back whatever he throws out there.
That's something that Ethan Van Sciver kind of touched on in one of his recent streams. Is that maybe the comic book industry should be a little bit worried about this, because if he realizes that he's a rock star in the comic industry, almost like I would say that Jonathan Hickman was, but again, that could just be my personal bias. I loved his Fantastic Four run. I loved his Avengers run. I loved East of West, and I loved his Secret Wars books. So far, I'm loving his X-Men run.
X-Men stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, he's doing X-Men right now, so that might be something to look into as well. But he's doing House of X and Powers of X, which are supposed to kind of clean up this Colors run they just got through, which was god-awful.
So, he's someone that's working really good with Marvel. He might not do his own thing on crowdfunding. But if Sean Murphy and other people jump suit, it could take away a lot of potential. Well, here's the thing. It just shows you what people want, right? Right? Like, if he does his own thing, people like Sean Murphy. If he does, like, his own unique thing and people go flocking there and they're buying it, I mean...
The way I see it is right now, crowdfunding represents the antithesis of the big two. Crowdfunding says we're going to take our books directly to people that want them on their shelf. No. And the big two say, well, we're just happy printing books and shipping them to Diamond, and Diamond counting the sales figures to the comic book stores that put them in back issue bins because they might sell and they might not. So the fact
it's a crappy model for sure.
Yeah, well, I think the fact that Cyberfrog has started to creep up on $1 million. I think the fact that Bigfoot Bill made $250,000 and Earthworm Jim made $750,000. I think the fact that books like Monster MD can make $50,000. I think the fact that your book can make upwards of $2,500 in 5 days. I think that's scary because there's absolutely 65 people in the world that want your book right now.
I think that's cool, man. I just think like if I have like these people in my house right now, it would look so crowded. But it'd be cool, like you all like put stock in me, like man, like that's cool. Like I see that number for me, that's just amazing. Wow, that's cool.
And it's going to get bigger. It's going to keep growing. And that's something you need to keep into account because as more and more people discover this, more and more people back it. And that's the thing that we need to think about, because if you're making $15,000 or you're making $1 million on a book, you're doing something different than the big two, because you're putting books in the hands of people that absolutely want them, and you're creating an aftermarket for people that might want them later, and you're creating something that becomes an instant collectible because you can't get it anymore.
Yeah, that's interesting too. That's another thing. Like, when you do a volume or you do something, and then you build a type of audience that kind of want to see, well, what did he do that I missed? It will create that kind of demand, and then like maybe I can see how like you do a campaign again, like a relaunch or something, or a reprinting or something. Yeah, a variant, and then you can put second printing to like it makes. When you do a first book or your new book, that many more people, because then it becomes like collectible stuff. And then let's say if something ever happens where that creator, their book becomes something on, on Netflix or something like that, like, well, I remember when I backed this dude, he was just crowdfunding it. And like, this is going to be worth something compared to, like you're building something, you're hitting on something. My only worry is like, of course, when you got like the really, adept people that are in the industry, that are cemented solid, that got their fandoms, and they come on crowdfunding. I feel like this, I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with that, but it's almost like picture a karaoke contest, right? and you have everyone singing, you're singing, okay, your buddy singing, and all of a sudden you have I don't know, like who's a rock star now that's just has a voice of gold.
I
He
was
comes
gonna
in.
say Freddie Mercury, but that's because I'm old.
Let's say Freddie Mercury comes in, right?
Yeah,
Let's say
Ed
Freddie
Sheeran.
Mercury comes in, right? Ed Sheeran, just comes in and just grabs a microphone and is like, okay, this is my, and he does his own karaoke bit. It's just like no one's gonna know who the hell this was before him. So like I'm all for it, and I'm gonna support any creator that I follow on the Big Two circuit when they do crowdfunding. That's just who I am. But then I just feel like, man, it's like you trying to become something, right? Or you're trying to just get an audience scraping away.
Well,
and you get on the platform, and then it's saturated with all known creators. Not that you won't be known. You're just going to have to do more hard work to get to a respectable, That's all I feel like. I feel like, man, that's what I'm worried about. Like, if that happens, people will forget who I am.
No,
I have the market.
Well, I have to play devil's advocate here, and I think that the more big names come to crowdfunding, the more people are going to click that comics tab and will be exposed to something like Grom, or something like a John Malin book, or something like Brand, or something like Thor Odinson's book if he when he launches that. So I mean, it could be good. It could be it could be like you said, if everybody comes over in mass and just swamps out the market, then yeah, that could be something. But as people come over gradually, because I know that I do it from occasion, and I don't know how many other people do it, but if I'm on Indiegogo, like if I'm looking at the status of your campaign or something like that, I'll click the Explore icon and I'll go down to comics and I'll just look at what's going on right now. That's that's how I found something like Tales of Nerosville, who we've had that guy on the show, and he's doing something really interesting where he's doing like an Astro City kind of thing. And I like to say, I create analogies because I've read a lot of comic books and I've been around a lot of comic properties. Like with your book, I said that it was Guardians of the Galaxies meet the Ninja Turtles.
Mm-hmm.
That was how I initially thought of it. That's what the art showed me. That's the two feels that I got for it. 90s Guardians of the Galaxies, where Yondu was a leader, and Ninja Turtles from the 80s.
Nice.
But with some of the other books, like I saw with Tales of Nerosville, it was like Astro City meets the Tick. And I can put those kind of ideas together, and I can say, well, what if we followed the adventures of all those heroes that were ancillary in the Tick? And that's kind of the story that you get, and it's really good. We got a couple of review copies of that. We looked at it, and they were phenomenal. And he's doing something a little different than you are. Like, his book's already done, and he's doing a flexible goal because he's just going to print whatever is ordered, and whatever money he makes is going to his next project. So everybody does different things.
Yeah.
And he's doing, episodic issues as opposed to a big volume, which I like big volumes better in this particular format because I get a whole chunk of story. And
I prefer also the volumes. I did with Under the Flesh. It was like episodic, and then we hit a little break when JL the artist was doing Marvel work. So that's why I from then I geared towards, okay, you know what, my next book, I don't know, because if an artist gets busy, I don't want to be on hold. I'm like, I just want to do a complete story because people could judge me on finished work. So that's when I did Lair, and initially I did Lair on Kickstarter, and then I brought it on Indiegogo. And it was kind of like what you're telling me, kind of like that model, just to do if I could do a print run so I could take it to a convention, and whatever I get to pay off the team, because we had a debacle on Kickstarter that was like bad. That's one thing. I like Kickstarter because it helped me out, but I hate the fact that someone can back, and then I guess because of whatever reason, the processing, there's some issues, you could not get that money. So you're like depending on money that it's like I got hit really bad on that one where, okay, so I had to finance a lot out of pocket, and then Lair was able to come up on that. So that was good. And then that's why I like volumes more, just because you do get more story. And people, if you close it in a way where you get closure, but you leave it open where you can come back and continue, it's a double win.
Right. Kind of like the original Star Wars movie. It's a complete story, but open enough that they were able to make sequels after it became successful.
And that's the thing. If you can do that well, yeah.
No, go ahead.
For me, closure's big. I don't know, It's hard to keep up with a lot. There's some comics I'll go on and on. One comic I liked was The Walking Dead. Kind of brought me back into comics when I was kind of out of it. But then it got to I got the first 8 volumes. But then it's okay, this is just ongoing, and I think recently it stopped. So the idea is if you can close it in a way with Lair and Pistolette, I close it in a way where that story is done, but it could easily jump off. I think it adds something to, as a creator and as an audience, there's a kind of mutual kinship there where it's hey, we could do this ongoing, but you know what, I'm just going to close it here. You get some finality, and then, we'll pick it up on another way. And that's the beauty of comics. You could even do one-shots. What if the Punisher killed the Marvel Universe? One of my favorite what-ifs. And it just wraps everything neatly. Or, you can do 400, 500 issues and keep it going. So there's something for everybody.
One thing that I've always advocated is that, at the point that we are now in comic books, I don't know how many people realize this or not, but this year, Batman's 81 years old.
Holy moly.
Superman's 82 years old. Spider-Man's 60-something years old. Or 50-something years old. These characters have been going for so long, and they've been so far out of the hands of the original creators that the Spider-Man you read in Amazing Fantasy 15 is not the Spider-Man you read in Amazing number 26.
And there's something about, I think what you're saying too, I think it's good and it's bad. I love the fact that we can pass Spider-Man down to our kids, and there's some kind of magic there. I mean, that's special. It's like that Disney effect where it's oh, Mickey, and he does timeless. And that's cool. But then at the same time, it kind of worries me when I look at stuff like Star Wars and how it continued, and it's but I don't know, as of late, at least in my opinion, I don't like how it's been going and where it's been going. So it's kind of I guess it's good where you have some things where you close out, just for that, just so you leave something good when it was really good, and that's it.
Star Wars strayed away from God when they didn't make Jar Jar Binks a Sith Lord.
Yeah.
I read that theory, and I'm not going to lie, it seemed so cool. I mean, I don't know what the backlash would have been, but I felt man, sometimes you got to do stuff like that to just shake the reader or just shake the audience, and then they might hate it. But then again, if you stay true to your damn vision, whatever it was, if that was really Lucas's vision, I feel it could have paid off. I don't know. I kind of like that. I remember reading something like that, the Sith Lord, that he was a Sith or something like that.
Well, I mean, who hasn't hated everything since Solo? So. But no, I hold on 1 second. Cough switch. No. But no, one thing that, like I said, that I've noticed about these crowdfunding books is that, first off, it gives you a chance to interact, and you said this earlier, you get the ability to, even if it's on an EVS, I'm just going to follow this guy on YouTube and comment in his chat, and then follow him on Twitter and add him. He's not necessarily going to respond to you, but if he does, it's a decent feeling. And they're more accessible. Ethan Van Sciver called into a show that was taking callers, and one of the things that I made sure to do was call in and be like, "Hey, man," and clear up the fact that what CG meant for me was not that just because Doug TeNapel's not CG that I have to refund my Earthworm Jim book because fuck that guy.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go that hard. I'm not. I can't. I don't. Well, as much as I align with the ideology, I'm still a person, and I'm not gonna do stuff like that. I had nothing against Doug. And that's where the fanboyism is, right? Was it the fanboyism, like the fanboy nature, where no matter what, it's just like, what CG? Like, I can't be that. Like, I get the ideology, and it was cool when it was like something operating, at the margin of the system, of the mainstream system, and it was like, yo, we can put out really good quality books. There was like a brotherhood there. There was like a camaraderie. Yeah, there was gossip. But it still, to me, seemed more about putting out books. And that's why I wanted to get on his show. That's why I wanted to connect with some of the higher guys to be like, hey, listen, I couldn't get my stuff published, not for the lack of trying. I know my stuff is good. I've been writing for a while. Hey, could you get me on? Nothing ever came of it. But I made some great people out of CG. This show wouldn't have happened if we didn't have our, mutual a stance on CG. So there's good things to it, there's bad things to it, but come on, man, like I don't know. This is where I'm like at a loss, because like, man, I can't. Are you gonna hate me because of that? Are you gonna judge me because of that? Like,
Well, you can't look at that and say, well, that's Comicsgate's fault. It's not. It's not the label's fault. It's the people that don't have an open mind enough to say, okay, just because I don't like somebody that's in Comicsgate doesn't mean that you're a bad person. I'm going to give you a fair shake.
Exactly. And then that's why they said, like, hey, you're getting, like, wow, is CG being like SJW? Like, I could see how those parallels were being made just because of that, the quick to snap nature, or the quick to flame someone, or the troll someone. It got really, like out of hand. So, I don't know. I take people for who they are. And I don't play any other game. I don't have, that's not my brand. That's not just who I am as a person. And I think it hurts what CG ultimately could have been, because I felt like it had the power to be a revolution on a grand scale. If you think about EVS's clout and what he did, which is more power to him, because he was making these videos about Star Wars, and he had his fandom from DC, and he had his fans. But he created this, like, the whole Comicsgate thing got attached, and he was like the figurehead. Just imagine if he like would create that label, like all caps, and with the money they were bringing in, and like, hey, this will be an all caps book. Of course, you got gatekeeping, right? Then you got people like, hey, this is a good book. Again, it's like, this is where it's just, no matter what, there's always going to be something wrong, I guess.
I think we're on the right track, and I think that the end game is something like that. I think that everyone is kind of getting to the idea of working together. I mean, even Edwin Boyette starting up Comicron, even the CG only movement, where you're just promoting Comicsgate books, and even if you come out and you said, you know what, I am gonna take a stance on what I think is Comicsgate and isn't. That's your prerogative. I'm not. If you want to create an indie book and it looks interesting to me, I'm going to back it. I don't care what you think about anybody else in the movement, in the industry, whatever. I'm going to back the books that I want to back, and I'm not going to back the books that I don't want to. Fortunately for me, there are more books that I want to back than there is money in my account. So I always have something fun that I can support. But
yeah, no, you're on the right track too, because like even the Comicsgate, like even on Twitter, again. So I don't know, there was a big thing with Doug and EVS. I didn't even know that. And then, like, people were with the war campaign, and then Edwin Boyette. Like, again, I'm not on this stuff just because I'm trying to put a book out. I don't have time to just feed into this stuff. I gotta create stuff. I gotta do my own thing on my own side. But anyway, it's like, so what is CG? Like, am I like, could I use the hashtag, or like? And then like I was seeing how it was being used, and then it's just like it wasn't how it was before. So like it wasn't pulling that much traction, but some of the tweets that I put like, dear Comicsgate, yada, 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 check this out. This is why I'm doing or this is why I believe, or whatever. And those got kind of got some good traction. But then when I try to reach out to that other site where it's like, hey, but you're CG, it's like, oh God, it's just like, again, I'm at a loss. It's like I get good traction when I use it. It got me great, readers, really great audience. But now it's like, when we're not using it, or now it's not like so open, but it'll be used. From what I'm seeing, it's being used with a multitude of other hashtags, like either Indie Comics, Team Comics, this, that, then Comicsgate. It wasn't how it was before.
To me, and as I'm not an authority, I'm not anybody but a fan.
Yeah.
I'm a guy that runs a small YouTube show where I promote comic books and try to make people happy about them again. And
have audio issues. Don't forget that.
Well, yeah, and fire my co-host every episode, but that's beside the point. One thing that I would say is that I feel like there are 3 questions that I can ask you, and the answer to those 3 questions will determine whether or not you are Comicsgate. Is your book full of SJW political agenda?
That's a good first question. No.
Okay. Second question: is your book full of right-wing, political stances and propaganda?
Not at all.
Okay. Is your book created for the fans?
No, 100%.
Okay, then yeah, you're Comicsgate.
Okay.
I mean, that's the ideology that the whole thing started on.
Right.
It's not about the drama. It's not about Doug TeNaples not Comicsgate. So I'm not gonna back his book. That's not what it's about. It's about making comics for people that love the medium. It's about making something that you love that you think other people will love.
Make comics great again.
I think one of the make comics great again. One thing I think I'm worried about, because my dream, of course, is always to write for Marvel or DC at some capacity. You know what I mean? Just something. Right. Who doesn't want to write a Batman story, right? Like a Batman and Ninja Turtles, like really? Like I would have loved to be all over that, right? So it's like what I'm worried about is just never having an opportunity, because let's say even if my stuff does pick up and through crowdfunding or whatever, I'll always have that stigma of CG according to mainstream. And I don't know. It's like my mind wants to be like, okay, the industry almost is childlike, and I could be like, ostracized, from having opportunity because, well, you were Comicsgate, or it's all about the dollars. And they're like, well, you've been successful, you've shown this, and hey, we think if we put you on this book, it'll be good for business. Like that whole CG thing won't even be an issue. So that's where I'm kind of like, you know what I mean? Like, so I don't like, I want to use it, as the way I've been thinking it was working. But at the same time, it's like, okay, is anyone going to attack me? Is anyone going to try to hurt my campaign just because of that? So,
absolutely.
There's so much to think about,
Well, absolutely. But at a certain point, once you have the right kind of enemies, you're doing something right.
Well, and coming from a business perspective, give it time, and the big 2, as they keep losing money and as these quote unquote Comicsgate books, crowdfunded, whatever we want to call it at this point, are making way more money on a single volume than they are. Eventually the numbers are gonna override the whole ideology thing, just from a business standpoint, or else if the big 2 keep going in the way they're going now, I don't see them really being around in the next 20 years, except maybe like movies, cartoons and that kind of stuff. But as far as like publishing and distributing comics, I don't really foresee their current business model sustaining more than 20 years from now.
Oh, dude, it's even less than that. It's a 5-year line. There's a hard line drawn in the sand. If something doesn't change in 5 years,
I was channeling Sargon. That's why I went with 20 years.
Okay. Well, you're fired for that, if nothing else.
Well, I had to get fired for something this show.
No, don't fire him. He's a pretty good co-host.
It's literally it's the gimmick of the show. I fire him every episode at least once. I usually do my voice of God. Let me not get in the way
of tradition.
Yeah, I usually do my voice of God thing where I go, Ayrton.
Yeah.
You're fired.
Damn it.
You guys are having too much fun.
That's what it's about, right?
I like that.
I mean,
very true.
Really, our show's like a digital, like local pub where people
I
can
like
come and hang
this,
out,
yeah.
talk and chill, and talk comic books and stuff. Yeah, you think that's a good description of our show?
I do. With independent creators, like especially smaller ones that haven't made it onto to Comicsgate Live yet, I wanted to start out like not to compare myself to Ethan by any means whatsoever, but at least to a smaller capacity. Now you're going to have a stream where at least for an hour and a half you've been able to talk about your book and your ideology, and you have something to people to when they start asking questions that you don't have time to answer. If you want to get an idea about Galactic Rodents of Mayhem, check out the first hour and a half of this particular stream, and you've got a link to send them, if nothing else. And the people that watch the show, they may or may not back, but at the same time, they're very good
They
about.
should, though.
They're very good about promoting the links. They're very good about putting the word
for
out.
Sure, man. Yeah, that helps a lot, man. And if you could bombard Doug TeNaples' Twitter feed, saying, "Hey, we want to see an Earthworm Jim crossover." Of course, I have to fund, and I have to fund to the point where we can get that artist I had in mind. I have a special artist that I have in mind. I don't know if it'll work. But this is, of course, me dreaming. You guys heard of Jim Lawson?
I have.
Jim Lawson. I met him at Tampa Bay Comic-Con. He drew some of those awesome turtles early on in the Mirage run. Him and he got on board, and he created the Rat King. He's just his black and white lines. I don't know. Just something about him. I love his work. So my dream is to get to the point I can be like, "Hey, Jim Lawson, I don't know what you're doing, but would you want to do like a 24-page one shot of just Grom and this Earthworm Jim character?" Like, I don't know. I just think that would be sick.
He was one of the pioneers of crowdfunding because he did Dragonfly, right?
Yes, and that one slipped my radar. I had no clue, but when I met him at Tampa Bay Comic-Con, he had a copy of Dragonfly, but he also had a copy of this other book, Hell Ride. And me, I'm always dark, and the Hell Ride was black and white. And I'm like, I want this book. And he's like, okay, yeah, for sure. He's like, I gotta warn you though, it's kind of dark. I'm like, don't give me a warning. I'm good. I like dark. I'm like, I want this book. And I got that one, and then I got a color classic of the first appearance of the Rat King. And he signed that, so that was cool. So Dragonfly looks cool and everything. I don't know much about it, but the Hell Ride was just an amazing book, and it was dark, and he shows so much just visually, and his sequential storytelling is really great. And I love his lines. That would be my dream if I can just achieve that in some way, shape, or form in the near future. That'd be a win for me.
I definitely am down with the idea of Earthworm Jim and the Galactic Rodents of Mayhem teaming up. However, one thing that I haven't really been able to get out of my head since I thought about it, because your book was literally only the second to inspire me to back it based on, to be fair, the merits of the book itself. The hype behind Earthworm Jim, the hype behind Cyberfrog, I had to have those. I mean, if so many people that I respect and so many people that I, follow and respect their opinion wanted these two books, I'm definitely interested in looking into them, and they were affordable enough to back and all of that good stuff. The Case of the Littlest Umbrella, I backed specifically for reviewing on the channel. It was the first crowdfunded book I ever backed as the Church of Failure. I had a different moniker before August of last year, but this one kind of stuck. But first two books that just sold themselves to me on merit alone was Monster MD and Grom. So I'm seeing that the rodents get hurt at some point and need to find a doctor. and Dr. Black is the only one available.
That could be interesting.
That would be. He's already done a 40K crowdfunded team up with Shinobi Sasquatch, so we know he's good with crossovers.
Yeah, I actually I like his stuff. I'll consider that just to see if they say three's a crowd, maybe we could make I don't know, a brawl out of it. Three's a brawl, and that would be cool, to do something like maybe Shinobi, Sasquatch, Monster MD, Grom, somehow their universes all collide, and maybe that could be something interesting, so I could definitely reach out to them and see.
We would
see
be back to 1 and 7 again.
Well, isn't that where the tricky thing comes with it? Because I would have to fund the book, right? And then I would have to reach that goal. So I think what makes it hard maybe for now is because the book isn't funded yet. So maybe when the book funds, I could be like, hey guys, now what do you think? Is this something? But then again, people, maybe the assumption is they see all this money and they're thinking you're pocketing all that money. But again, the way, you calculate shipping X many books, depending on how many books you get, paying out the team, shipping, and just a small tidbit. Even with Grom, I have it at 15K. That's pretty much for the team, right? The artwork, and that's covering just 300 units printed, right? Not shipped. I didn't even calculate that in there because again, I don't want to ask for 20K outright. You know what I'm saying? And then you factor international shipping. But so you had some stretch goals, and then you can equalize. But the thing is, it's 300 books, and the weird I got to 300 was because Lair had close to 200 backers. Piece of Lair had 30 something, and I could have some to crowdfund. But there's a lot that goes in there, man. So I don't and then again, there's egos come into play. Who's this guy? Like Doug Tenaple. I had tweeted him before. I'm like, hey, what do you think of Galactic Rodents of Mayhem? You think Earth? I did some kind of tweet. Some people, he even liked the tweet.
Yeah.
And I don't know if maybe you guys saw that tweet, and then someone's like, just do it. Don't ask permission. Just do it. But dude, it's almost like fan fiction, right? You write your Star Wars story. You can get away with it. If you do a Star Wars comic, however, is it really going to reach Disney? I'm a nobody, right? But let's say Grom in the future becomes something, right? And I did this, one shot just for my backers that, they could look at that as maybe infringing on their creator rights, and then they want to take me to a lawsuit. Dude, and you get what I'm saying? There's so much that goes on here where, there's a lot of red tape. So I have these dreams and goals, but let's see how I could, bring them about. As far as the stretch goal and the crossover funding, or a crossover story.
Oh yeah, well, the reason that I bring that up is those two creators, they formed a relationship behind the scenes or whatever, a friendly relationship, and they promised one another if they both got to 40K that they would do a crossover book for all of their backers.
Okay, that's a good way to do it. Yeah,
and that's what they did there. So they helped one another get to 40K based on the idea of that crossover book, and. I'm still trying to scramble up enough money to get Shinobi Sasquatch as well, but because I got Galactic Rodents, because I got Monster MD, I'm gonna get the crossover book. But
well, that's cool. You see, that I didn't know. That adds a lot to it. You see, I didn't know the both campaigns were involved like that. So where no matter what you were it was crossed over to even those backers. So that's actually pretty cool, and you lucked out in that regard that you're going to get that crossover book. There's a lot with the crowdfunding that makes it cool. That's a lot to think about there. That's actually cool. They did that, and they made it work, and it's really a cool script.
This all ties into the idea of the show that I was talking about for tomorrow night, because these are some of the ideas that I really liked from some of the crowdfunding campaigns that I've seen, and that's the reason that I wanted to get Thor Odinson. Shameless plug for tomorrow. You guys that saw the Thor Odinson stream 4 should definitely be back for the Thor Odinson stream tomorrow, because he is the most prolific crowdfunder that I know. As far as I know, he's backed nearly every Comicsgate book out there.
Nice.
I think he even has 2 or all 3 covers of Cyberfrog.
Wow.
But
like Cyberfrog is another one that's anthropomorphic too. That would probably be cool, like doing a crossover with Grom. Maybe if I'm lucky enough to get his attention. Oddity is the Gecko, right? He's another one too. Yeah, I saw. Yeah, so yeah, that's there's a lot going on. Let's see what I can do as far as that. But yeah, it's fun. That's what makes it fun too, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, nobody thinks that the Ninja Turtles.
Happen.
Nobody thinks that the Ninja Turtles or Spawn exist in Batman's Gotham, but Batman's crossed over with both of those characters. So as a CG promoter, I don't see any rational reason why your crossover couldn't happen.
Right.
Maybe licensing. Maybe licensing protection with Earthworm Jim, because I don't know if you know this or not, but he only has a license for these comic books from the owner of that license. Doug TenNapel does not own Earthworm Jim. Oh. He's the creator, but he doesn't own it anymore. He signed it away at 27 years old.
No way. Who's the person that owns it? I'm going to email them. That would probably hard to even get in touch with them. Jeez. That's all. Yeah. I thought he owned it. My bad. I think
it's the guys that put out the video game.
Yeah, then that wouldn't even work. Yeah, because I'm still a nobody. Yeah, I thought like he owned it. Yeah, like then it would make more sense. Like I think it's something like that has to work with like maybe like someone like Ethan who fully owns Cyberfrog, right? I'm thinking.
Now what Doug does own is Bigfoot Bill.
That we can do, and you know what? Sadly, that one I didn't get a chance to back because I was backing. I literally backed 33 projects on Indiegogo, and that one I know he's going to bring it back, and so that's a good one. Maybe I can do that. Bigfoot Bill, yeah. Have you backed that one? Have you read that one? It hasn't come out yet, right?
I have not. It has come out yet, and I was not in a position. Like I said, 3 kids.
No, dude. I just got my first kid about to be 2 years old next year. Let me tell you, man, budget is very tight. I want to back a lot of books out there. There's so many books that I want to back, and I'm like I can only do a select few. And even sometimes when I can't back the way I want and how I want a physical copy of that book, I'll take a digital option if they offer it, so I can back like 2 or 3 books. And there's a few that I backed just a digital option, like Brand. I did just a digital option. Lone Star did just a digital option because I would love those as hard copies, but I could only do so much. So I get it.
Right.
But I have to find a way to hunt down Bigfoot Bill because then that would be it. Because that's part of it. It has to be good.
I'm pretty sure he's going to do
Bigfoot, right? Bigfoot
what now?
Bill. How you go wrong with that, right?
Right.
Bigfoot Bill.
And
you said he has another one?
Well, he's going to do a volume 2 of it. I think he's going to alternate Earthworm Jim and Bigfoot Bill.
Yeah.
And then he's planning on doing one campaign for each for the next 9 years, I think, is the idea.
You see, he's set, man. He's good. So at least I could try to try to go with Bigfoot Bill. If not, I have to create a whole new anthropomorphic character, maybe like Chicken Joe or something, and we see this cool,
Chicken Joe, the giant cock, and he's a black rooster.
Oh man, that's funny. Oh, that might be a little. That might be something. If I can't get a Bigfoot
you can
Bill.
have it for free. I won't charge.
We'll do that as the Ashcan add-on to a book that will actually pass the smell test.
Oh my gosh!
See, this is why I don't write, because it would just be the most ridiculous things that you could possibly think of.
Yeah, my wife probably wouldn't like. She'd be like, "What Chicken Joe and what was it? The giant cock?"
Yeah,
like,
that's my metal band name, sweetheart.
I mean, that was my nickname in high school. So.
Oh man, that's funny. But I guess I'll try that angle. I'll hit up Duck to Naple on Bigfoot Bill, see if But I should wait till Grom picks up. Let's see if we can fund that. Let's focus on that first. If that funds, we can entertain other things. I'll try to build up hype any way I can, and let's not get too crazy, right? If anything, I can just tease out a tweet that Chicken Joe and what was his buddy, the giant cock coming into play.
That's right.
We'll see what we can do. Oh my gosh, that's funny. Guys, we gotta do this another time. This is a lot. This is a lot of fun. I haven't had this much fun on the show in a while. So
that's what we're here for. We're just trying to convince another 6,000-7,000 people to watch it. But until then, we'll be happy.
You'll get there because you got 190 something subscribers. I saw. That's good.
192.
Yeah. So.
Mrs. Church.
No, stop
Chicken Joe in the Surf's Up movie. Yeah.
Mrs. Church, she knows her stuff. There is a Chicken Joe in the Surf's Up. No.
Well, Mrs. Church watches all the child movies with my children, so she knows. She knows.
Oh man. Well, Kelms said here that selling creative rights isn't that big of a deal if done as simply permission to use every facet of the Earthworm Jim concept, akin to selling trade rights. So let me I'll have to quote that, the copy and paste that, like, hey, Mr. Tenable, let's see. Well, according to this, because he has reacted to some of my tweets, which is cool. I had read some of his books, and then I put a little, hey, thank you here, hey, you're good. Like he'll genuinely responds. He don't follow me, but that's cool. So I guess I'll just annoy him every day because I remember being on John Malin's show. Yeah, John Malin was like, just annoy everybody, like just annoy him. Oh my gosh, that's funny. But Chicken Joe, oh my gosh.
And as far as coming back on before we wrap up the show, because I still have to play the video on your Indiegogo campaign, get that earworm in everybody's ear.
That'll be a nice closeout.
But we've got a few minutes before we have to do that. I think the video is like 3 minutes, so I think we've got about 5 more minutes we can chit chat. But one thing that I did want to say is, as far as coming back on, open invitation, man, anytime.
Oh yeah,
I appreciate that, seriously. Once you build a rapport with someone, that's it. So I appreciate the open invitation. I don't know if you have a third co-host opening, but
if you're offering, Ayrton got roped into this. Like, you're talking, 4 to 8 hours a week, but you can commit. You're down.
Guys, what you're doing is you guys are doing is great. It's great. It's hard, like you say, doing it 4 times a week. That's a commitment in its own. You're gonna build a following. And here's one promise. One promise. If I become something really big, Grom blows up, trust and believe that I'm gonna be that humble dude. That I don't let it get to my head, and I'll be on. That's it. I'll be on.
But you gotta
appreciate that.
You gotta be the world's most charming, elegant, eloquent, and yet humble man.
That's the only way it works.
And the fact that I can still do that after 4 scotches is a testament to my my ability.
Yes, he's the best at being humble.
It's good to dream.
But
oh man.
But yeah, no, anytime, man. Open invitation. We have the same thing set up with a guy named Atomic Denny who's going to be on. Anybody that has a good time here, anybody that wants to come on is more than welcome. I leave my Twitter DMs open for that very reason. I'm here to celebrate comic books. We talked about the Amalgam Universe. You've talked enough about 90s comics that you love the Amalgam Universe, I'll bet. The Marvel versus DC era.
Oh man, yeah. The Amalgam, yeah. How did that even come about? Would they ever do that again on a cinematic level, you think?
Oh, Jesus Christ! No, they hate each other now. It's all about and you know I know you're you are a Christian guy. I'm not a. Are you a Christian guy? I think you are. I think I saw that somewhere.
I am a Christian guy. Yes,
I don't mean to blaspheme, but you know no. Marvel and DC as corporates do not like one another anymore. However, interesting little tidbit, they both still own 50-50 stock in the Access character created for Amalgam.
Amalgam, nice. They gotta do. I mean, come on! Everything that's going on, wouldn't that be one thing they want to try to entertain bringing back, or that's another? That's a crapshoot. No,
I think
it would be cool.
I think it would be a lot more like the Sony
power struggle, or yeah.
Well, I think it would be a lot more like the Sony Disney thing that's going on right now because they would both want the bigger cut of the pie. Marvel would be like, we have the more successful movies, we should make the most money, and DC would be like, yeah, but we're bringing Batman to the table, we should get the most money.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good argument. I mean, just anything they say, you just look at them and you're just quiet, you're just like, well, we got Batman. That's it.
Right.
That's it, dude. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and unless Marvel comes back and says, oh, yeah, well, we're putting Deadpool in it, then they got nothing. Like Deadpool as Ryan Reynolds.
Or
we got Red Tool. I guess we got
Ryan Reynolds plays both characters.
They're actually going to hire someone.
No, they got to get Ryan Reynolds to do both.
Could you imagine that? That would be oh my gosh, that's just too funny. That's so funny it could work.
Oh, absolutely. So, any final thought, gentlemen? This has been a fantastic show, and I definitely appreciate you staying with us for the whole duration. I know you were on a time crunch a little earlier, but I definitely appreciate you staying and having a great time with us. It's been fantastic.
Yeah, no, guys, I thank you. It was able to segue into the actual duration. I didn't know it was a 2 hour. It was a 2 hour show. I think the wife only came in about 6 times and showing me the keep it calm because I don't know, I have a tendency to talk loud. But, like, hey, man, it was great, and hey, we were able to make it rock and roll. It's awesome. I hope your audience enjoys, speaking comics and joking around with me, and checking out Galactic Rodents of Mayhem, and that's it, man. And hopefully they dig that song, and maybe it'll get stuck in their heads a little bit.
There you go.
It will.
So, Ayrton, you got anything left before I turn us off?
Yeah. Thanks so much, man, for coming on. It was great, and just know when the comic release, it will be displayed proudly on my shelf with my collection of the original prints of adolescent radioactive black belt hamsters. So it's going to be like right there with them.
Just knowing that is hyping me up to just really want to get this thing funded, because to be on any type of shelf for a comic fan is awesome. So that you got reserved shelf space for Grom. Hopefully we can make it happen, and hopefully you can enjoy that book when it's all said and done, and hopefully we can get it there.
All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and play us out here. Stick around for just another second, and we'll do our goodbyes off the air real quick, but I'll go ahead and get the outro started for the people at home. Thanks everybody for showing up on the show. Thanks everybody for watching the replay. Be sure to hit like, share, subscribe if you haven't. Gospel of Comics loves having you. And thank you very much, Gilbert Deltrez, for stopping by on the show. Check out Galactic Rodents of Mayhem. Back it if you haven't. What are you waiting for? Overgrown rodents. It's too good. So, without further ado, I'm going to show you why it's too good. And if you disagree with me after that, then it's okay to be wrong occasionally.
Good night, everybody.
Have a good night, guys.
Grom! What's going on, guys? Gilbert Deltrez here with you. I want you guys to know that I am so excited about my new campaign, Galactic Rodents of Mayhem. Bada boom. Basically, it's everything I loved in comics, all the goodness that I remember growing up as a kid, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Star Wars, video game culture. Everything is literally smash rolled into this concept featuring Capybara bounty hunters. That's right, guys. Capybaras are back. Thanks, of course, to Sebastian Navis, my artist, who put me on the awareness of their existence. I fell in love, and I'm like, this is how we're going to bring the fun back in comics. So, guys, we need to get this campaign rolling. The only way this book could actually come to fruition is through your support. Please think about backing. Definitely share if you can. We have a lot in store, and we're hoping we can get that done. We need your support to make it happen. The team is ready. They're in the wings, ready to get pumped up to start working on these pages. But again, we need you guys to make this happen. So yes, we have a lofty goal, but as they always say, either go big or go home. I'm not going home yet. I'm putting everything on the line for you guys. We got an awesome 3-page pitch. Check it out. It's the little 3-page story that shows you a little bit about the characters, a little bit about the universe. Now picture that across 104 pages. If you love our cover, it's the same team going to be doing the interiors. It's going to be great. It's going to be wild. It's going to be adrenaline-filled, high-octane, bringing the anthropomorphic fun back. Galactic Rodents of Mayhem, guys. Please think about backing. We can't do it without you. Boom.